Good evening, Board of Education and Olentangy community. Olentangy Schools is the sixth largest school district in the state and remains one of the fastest growing in the United States. Throughout the last 30 years, Olentangy has grown from one K-12 school building to preparing to open our 16th elementary school and 27th building this fall. Explosive growth over a relatively short period of time brings excitement and change. Our 95 square miles we call One Olentangy has changed from a predominantly rural landscape to a robust suburban community with high-performing schools and strong spirit. As we grow and open new schools, we must adjust our attendance boundaries from time to time. As superintendent, two critical responsibilities I have are to assign staff and students. Assigning students involves examining our current attendance boundaries and following the Board of Education's redistricting guidelines. A superintendent's committee of 14 community members functioned virtually for the past 5 months as a redistricting committee. They met twice a month and took a deep dive into our attendance boundaries, our building utilization, our feeder patterns, projected enrollment. They hosted 3 virtual community forums and sought your feedback. Ultimately, they presented to me with recommendations for consideration. The recommendations center on following the redistricting guidelines, creating attendance boundaries for Shale Meadows Elementary School, relieving enrollment in buildings with projected student counts over 800 next year, and considering future growth in the district. I cannot thank this committee of volunteers enough for taking the time during this difficult year to give their attention to this important task. Going into this year, I thought this would be an easy redistricting process compared to many in the past. However, it has proven to be anything but that. Rapid and continued growth creates a complex process. Additionally, opening of Shale Meadows this year, middle school 6 in 2 years, and not knowing exactly where elementary 17 may go are all considerations on top of the items I've already mentioned. This redistricting decision will impact a total of 760 students at the elementary level. 542 of those students will be moving into a new building, and the remaining students will move from buildings that are experiencing high enrollment to elementary buildings that have room to grow. Being a part of our One Olentangy family means we are all part of this outstanding district. And no matter what school your child attends, they will receive a great education. As we look to the future, we know we will be experiencing future redistricting decisions as we open middle school 6 and elementary 17. Our goal in this redistricting is to help position the district well for subsequent redistricting decisions as we continue to grow. I'm now going to turn it over to Scott Leopold from Cooperative Strategies to outline the adjusted attendance boundaries effective for the 2021-2022 school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rafe. I'd first like to review some of the data and drivers by showing our current boundaries and data. This table shows our current elementary schools, their capacity, their enrollment, and their utilization, which is enrollment divided by capacity. The darker red numbers show facilities that are overutilized, and the lighter green numbers show facilities that have less students enrolled. The table down here shows our feeder patterns, or our feeder percentages, from elementary school to middle school. And so, for example, a school like Alum Creek, all of those students go to Shanahan Middle School, so we show 100% here. Arrowhead splits 3 ways. 39% of the students go to Berkshire Middle School, 28% to Hyatt's, and 33% to Shanahan. And the map is shown over here on the right. The background shaded colors show the current elementary boundaries. The thick purple outlines the high school boundaries, and those medium orange outlines the middle school boundaries. The school points are shown elementary schools in green, middle schools in orange, and high schools in purple. As you can see, we're experiencing utilization well over 100% at Cheshire, Johnny Cake Corners, Olentangy Meadows, and Heritage Elementary. There are other elementary schools that are also over 100%, but schools like Walnut Creek, Oak Creek, and others have more stable enrollment and do not have a large amount of housing growth driving it. We continue to see growth in the southern portion of the district around the Polaris area, the northern portion of the district near Cheshire Elementary, and the central part of the district near Arrowhead and Shale Meadows Elementaries. I would like to point out again that many of our elementary schools have a 100% feeder to a single middle school and others do not. For example, Arrowhead currently splits between Berkshire, Shanahan, and Hyatts. The committee did spend time in this process discussing feeder patterns, but please remember the opening of Middle School 6 will have an impact on feeder patterns and will provide an opportunity to revisit elementary to middle school feeder splits that will have a longer lasting impact. Now I will outline the proposed changes for the 2021-22 school year. Please note that there are no changes to middle school or high schools. There are only changes to the elementary boundaries. These charts reflect the changes that would be effective next school year: enrollment, utilization, and the feeder patterns. Starting with the boundaries for Shale Meadows, this area is shown in the green crosshatch and is composed entirely of areas that are currently attending Cheshire and Arrowhead elementary schools. Areas that are currently zoned to either Cheshire or Arrowhead elementaries that are also currently directed to Hyatts Middle School will attend Shale Meadows. This creates a 100% feeder from Cheshire to Berkshire and reduces Arrowhead to from a 3-school middle school split down to a 2-school split. Additionally, the area in close proximity to Shale Meadows, or the Berlin Meadows neighborhood, and Belmont Place will also be assigned to Shale Meadows. And they're coming from Arrowhead, and they will continue to attend Berkshire Middle School. Johnny Cake Corners is relieved by moving the growth areas along the Route 36-37 corridor to Cheshire Elementary School. So that's the backfill that then fills in Cheshire from the large area that will be moving to Shale Meadows. Moving on to Arrowhead, we wanted to try to point as much growth to Arrowhead as possible because of its additional capacity. The area between US 23 and the railroad tracks and the area between Orange Road and Lewis Center roads, so this area right here, would move from Heritage to Arrowhead. This includes the existing Orange Grand Apartments and additional developments planned for the near future. Additionally, areas that are north of Shanahan Road and east of North Road that currently attend Heritage will move to Arrowhead. Finally, a section of homes off of Old State Road just north of Cheshire will also move to Arrowhead. So in summary, these changes utilize Shale Meadows at 83%, leaving room for future growth in Berlin Meadows. Cheshire Elementary is utilized at 80%, leaving room for growth in that area for the near future. Johnny Cake Corners is utilized at 103%, with the majority of its growth pointed at Cheshire, and that's that change area up here, and this is the area that would be remaining in Johnny Cake Corners. Heritage is utilized at 105% with its former growth areas pointed at Arrowhead. Arrowhead is utilized at 59%, again with a lot of growth pointed at it. This would include Evans Farms, Glen Ross south of Cheshire Road, and the growth areas from Heritage will all now become part of the Arrowhead community. Moving to the southern portion of the district, our drivers are continued overcrowding at Olentangy Meadows, the slight overutilization at Glen Oak, and the availability of capacity at Alum Creek. Olentangy Meadows will be relieved by moving several areas that are east of Old State Road to Alum Creek. These areas include the Point at Polaris, Village at Polaris Park, the Edge at Polaris, and Polaris View. It should be noted that Talia Court, Avenue at Polaris, the Village at Worthington Crossing, Summer View, and the Gardens at Polaris will all stay at Olentangy Meadows. Areas currently zoned to Glen Oak that are off of Gemini Parkway will also move to Alum Creek. These are North Park Place apartments and condos, and the Lakes at Polaris. The Retreat at Polaris, along with Polaris Grand, which are both off of Old State, will continue to attend Glen Oak. The resulting utilization at Olentangy Meadows is 95%, Glen Oak at 92%, and Alum Creek at 86%. This creates a good balance that will allow the boundaries to absorb additional growth over the next few years. Again, there are no changes to middle and high school boundaries, and the resulting feeder split at Alum Creek is 75% to Shanahan Middle School and Olentangy High School, and 25% to Orange Middle School and Orange High School. And that's illustrated here. Here are the proposed boundaries for 2021-22 without those change areas highlighted. Feel free to pause to get a closer look. Additionally, this map and a school locator will be shared on the district website for you to get a closer look. And at this point, that concludes our presentation. Thank you very much.